Andy from Man City FanTV, thanks for joining with me. I'm sure you feel a lot different to a lot of us Geordies here after that 5-0 demolition of us. A dominant display from your boys tonight at the Etihad.
Yeah, it was a bit of a training game, wasn't it? I don't even think we got out of second gear, which was, when I spoke to Keg yesterday with all your injuries and things like that, I don't think Keg was too hopeful of getting anything at the Etihad, and as it turned out, it was just completely one-way traffic in the end. I don't even think we had Otamendi and Stones. We had Cancelo and Zinchenko as our defenders, and there was no pressure at all. Unfortunately for you guys on the night, and it could have been more.
Yeah, I think Phil Foden could have made it more just himself, couldn't he?
Yeah. I did my post-match fan cam for the channel, and I said, if we're going to rave about him and big him up and things like that, in a game where don't want to be too harsh on him, but he could have had two or three goals, or should have had at least a couple tonight. You have to call him out on his finishing, because he's a first team player now. So, just because he's a City youth player, you can't sort of just go, oh, it's all right because he's a City youth player. I wasn't harsh on him. I just basically said he should really have put a couple away. But it is what it is. He's only a baby.
You mentioned your defence. I think Newcastle could have and should have done a lot more to get at the two centre-back pair of Otamendi and Stone, and put pressure on Edison. We've seen what happened the other night. It's just Newcastle never came out with any intent to cause any harm, it seemed, in that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, like I said to Keg yesterday, the fact that you're one big player that can cause problems and does push defenders back, Saint Maximum, because he wasn't playing. I think that was a massive loss for you, certainly tonight in particular, because it was a bit weak. It was almost like, I spoke to Keg yesterday, and Keg was going, well, I'm not hopeful. It could be any score. It was almost like Newcastle and Bruce went into this game thinking, we're not going to get anything from this. And it was almost like, try and limit the loss as much as possible. That's how it felt watching the game.
I don't know why Newcastle would do that, though, because we're in no threat of relegation. There shouldn't be any news from the players. I really kind of get my head around why nobody put their head up and tried to go for the attack when every time we got the ball, we just passed it backwards. It's disbelief from me, to be honest, like why we didn't just try and attack more and give something, because we ended up getting beat 5-0 at the end with showing nothing. We could have got beat 6-3 and if we had went for it,
Especially when you've got, you've got players there that, albeit, let's be fair about this, we were playing a second string to a certain degree, Newcastle team. I mean, you've had quite a number of injuries there. But what epitomised today was, let's face it, in the Premier League, we've not really got much to play for because we're almost guaranteed second. So it's more like momentum going into sort of the FA Cup and the Champions League. But in the first half in particular, you've got one of the smallest players on the pitch, David Silva, who rarely, ever loses a ball. He lost the ball, and within 2 seconds, he tackled one of your players and won it back off him. And that's that's the levels in football that sort of defines what is an average sort of run-of-the-mill player to a player that is up here. Even when he knows, David Silva is only a few games away from leaving Man City. He could stroll through these last few games and sort of leave on a high. No City fan would ever say anything about him if he had 5 shit games for the rest of the season. He's a legend in our eyes. But that hunger, that desire, that's what makes players on completely different levels. I think tonight, some of your players got the ball, and it was almost like they lost the ball, and it was, okay, well, it's so it doesn't really matter. You need that hunger, that desire to go, I'll win it back. That 5-6 second rule. You lose it, you get it back within 6 seconds, and that is it. Otherwise, I'm not going to be happy, and neither are the other players. I just didn't see that from Newcastle, especially when you've got players there that are fighting for places, maybe even fighting for contracts, and saying, "Well, I'll give me 50 grand a week, and I'll be in ahead of him. You don't need." But it just wasn't there tonight for Newcastle. I was quite surprised. I thought even though you had this, like I said, almost a second string team, I thought some of the players would really go at it for the last few games of the season, and sort of, say to Bruce and the new owners potentially, give me another contract. I'll fight for this team, because you had nothing to lose, but nothing to gain either. So you're in a similar position to us, but it just wasn't there from Newcastle tonight.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's showing how much Newcastle United need this takeover to happen. The way that the players that finished on that pitch are nowhere near Premier League quality, nowhere near good enough for Newcastle United. But they still should have showed some fight and endeavour to play for the bag. I don't think anyone can really be proud of that tonight. But I'll let you go anyway, Andy. So I know you're busy, you've got your own things to do. So cheers for joining me. And your link will be in the description of the video. Make sure everyone checks out Andy from Man City FanTV and the reaction from tonight's game.
No problem, Matty. Always a pleasure talking to you. Take care, buddy. All right, all the best. See you soon.
Yeah.